Caleb sat in silence, his back pressed against the cold wall of his cell. Days had passed since the night at the docks. He hadn't spoken a word since. Not to the officers who questioned him, not even to himself. He just stared at the ceiling, tracing cracks that looked like broken maps of his life. The other inmates whispered about him, the quiet boy, the boss's favorite. But Caleb didn't care. His thoughts were louder than any voice around him. Boss was out there somewhere, furious, dangerous, and surely hunting for whoever had failed him. Across the station, Officer Arjun Mehra, the young sharp-eyed cop who had arrested him, returned from his brief days off. He was surprised to find the case still unsolved. None of his colleagues had gotten a word out of Caleb, even after rough interrogations. Something about that made Arjun pause. He remembered the look Caleb gave him that night. Fear, yes, but also something else. Something that felt human. Arjun decided to try again, but this time his way. He entered the cell with another officer. Caleb sat up, his expression unchanged until he saw who it was. His eyes flickered with something alive for the first time in days. The other officer noticed it too, exchanged a look with Arjun, and quietly left them alone. For a long moment, Arjun said nothing. He just stood there, his uniform crisp, his presence steady. Then he spoke softly. "You're not like the others, are you?" Caleb looked down. "You wouldn't understand." "Try me," Arjun said, pulling a chair closer. Slowly, the words began to come out. Caleb told him about the ghetto, about Boss, the man who had raised him, chained him, and made him believe loyalty meant slavery. How he sold what he was told to sell, hit who he was told to hit, and never once made a choice for himself. Arjun listened, his expression unreadable, but his eyes full of something Caleb hadn't seen before understanding. When Caleb finished, the silence felt heavy. Arjun leaned forward. "What Boss did to you? That's not loyalty. That's abuse. You deserve to be free." Caleb's hands trembled. "If I talk, he'll kill me." "Then let me protect you," Arjun said firmly. "Help us find him. I'll make sure you're safe. You have my word." Caleb hesitated, staring into the officer's eyes. Something in that calm, determined voice broke through his fear, and for the first time he nodded. That night, Caleb gave them everything: names, routes, warehouses, the entire chain. By dawn, Boss was in custody. Years of darkness ended in a single sunrise. With Boss gone, Caleb had nowhere to go. Arjun, true to his word, took him in. The small apartment was quiet, clean, and smelled faintly of sandalwood, a strange comfort Caleb wasn't used to. He didn't want to be a burden, so he made himself useful. Every morning he cooked before Arjun left for duty. Every evening he cleaned, folded laundry, and kept the place spotless. Arjun told him he didn't have to, but Caleb always smiled and said, "It's the least I can do." They talked late into the nights about work, about life, about dreams. Arjun told him how he became one of the youngest officers in the city, how he fought against corruption and his own doubts. Caleb listened, fascinated. For the first time, he saw what a real man looked like, not the violent kind he grew up around, but someone strong and kind. It was peace, a peace he didn't know how to keep. Then came the day Caleb decided to leave. Boss was gone, the case closed. He wanted to start over, find a job, maybe live quietly somewhere far away. When he told Arjun, the officer froze. He forced a smile and said, "If that's what you want, I won't stop you." But inside, something cracked. Over the next few days, Arjun couldn't sleep. He'd lie awake at night, the apartment too quiet without Caleb's voice. Food lost its taste, the world lost its color. He tried to tell himself it was just concern, but it wasn't. It was him. Caleb had become a part of his life he couldn't live without. Caleb noticed the change. He saw how pale Arjun had become, how he skipped meals, how he forced himself to work. So he stayed just a little longer to take care of him. He made soup, he sat by his bed, and when Arjun finally slept, Caleb would look at him quietly, wondering how a man could be so gentle in a world so rough. He wanted to tell him. He wanted to say he loved him. But fear, that old, heavy fear, kept him silent. The morning of his departure finally came. Caleb's bag was packed. The apartment looked emptier already. "Thank you," he said softly, "for everything." Arjun stood by the table, still as stone. "So that's it? You're just leaving?" Caleb nodded. "It's time I stand on my own." He turned toward the door. "Caleb," Arjun called, his voice breaking. He turned. Arjun crossed the room in 2 steps, grabbed his wrist, and held it tightly but gently. "When I told you that night you were under arrest," he began, his voice trembling, "I didn't mean for a crime." Caleb frowned, confused. "What do you mean?" Arjun's eyes softened. "I mean, I can't let you go. You're under my custody for life if you'll have me." Caleb blinked, his heart pounding. "When you said I was under arrest, you meant—" "Yes," Arjun whispered. "You're under arrest, Caleb, and I don't ever want to release you." The silence that followed was warm and electric all at once. Caleb's bag slipped from his hand. He stepped forward, closing the distance between them. Their foreheads touched, their breaths mingled. And this time, Caleb didn't want freedom. He wanted him. If you felt that moment too when love broke the rules, hit like, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more powerful love stories from around the world.